Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of No More Kids in Scientology. In this episode, you guys, we're going to be discussing another kid that grew up with me in Scientology, none other than handbag designer Rebecca Minkoff. And in this episode, we're going to contextualize Rebecca Minkoff's involvement in Scientology. As you can see, she's one of the latest so called Scientology celebrities that has been placed in the media to truly sanitize the image of the Scientologist, to truly go, oh, look, it's working for Rebecca. Don't you want to be like Rebecca? Don't you want to be like Rebecca? And that's pretty much what this whole new Real Housewives of New York PR stunt facelift for Rebecca and Scientology is giving, you guys. So, right away, we want to start with the first Google we did on her because I have literally began to literally scratch the very, very top of the surface of the Rebecca Minkoff press surface because this girl has more press than handbags. That's pretty much been her strategy. So, in this Reddit, the discussion that really jumped out at me was this whole thing about how Rebecca Minkoff went from essentially homeless to a fashion icon. And just so you guys know how outrageously false this is, when I left Scientology, you guys, I went from Florida to New York. When I left, broke the so-called billion-year contract where I was locked up, enslaved at Debbie Cook's Scientology Hotel in Clearwater, Florida. That's how far Rebecca Minkoff and I go back. Back to Clearwater, Florida Hotel, where her dad, her brothers were also at that Florida hotel. So this is when she was beyond young. Like we're talking like 11 years old. Rebecca Minkoff was there running around. So we definitely go way back. And here with this whole situationship where she's trying to say that she was essentially homeless. Rebecca, don't you remember that you had a nice little Soho 3-bedroom apartment that your dad, David, helped you get? Compliments of your rich daddy that helped you get that apartment, Rebecca. You had an apartment in Soho. Do you guys know how hard it is to have an apartment in Soho? To have that rented to a girl that has no job, that has no credit, that had nothing at that point because she was, just turning 18 by the time she decided to go from Florida across state lines to New York to really make it in the so-called fashion world, Rebecca Minkoff. So right away, this whole thing about how she was almost essentially homeless is giving very, very, very misguided, very, very false pitch about her situation, Rebecca. The designer spoke to Know Your Value about how she created a fashion empire and gave her advice to women who want to be entrepreneurs, insisting business cards are better than cash. All right, you guys. Well, according to Rebecca Minkoff, business cards are better than cash. What type of business cards did you get at the hotel, Rebecca Minkoff? Because I think that we do agree with your exact statement here about business cards being very important, because what type of business connections did you get connected to in Scientology to so-called go from nearly homeless, you guys, to what is it? She's saying they're saying she's worth $100 million upwards. So this post says, I'm going to have to call bull on that. Completely fallacious, and I know that for a fact. And here are the reasons, Rebecca, why. Just so we know, you guys, just so we go, oh, well, maybe Andy had no idea that Rebecca came with, more than just a little bit of baggage. This is a simple Google search away with so many of these things that can be literally checked out by Andy's so-called production team. Bullet point, I don't like her bags. Bullet point, I don't like how she powered forward in the fashion industry with the help of Scientology and its celebrity members, who then used their own connections to get her bags on the arms of other celebrities. On the bags of other celebrities. So this woman that has been selling her bags all over America, you guys, got special hookups, special business cards. Like Rebecca says, business cards is more important than cash. Who you know and can use to your own advantage is better than actual cash. So using Scientology to get her bags sold, to power through the fashion industry, because her whole meteoric rise has been made to look really organic. Oh my God, you have no idea how organic it's been made to look. But little does anyone know that Scientology is behind this woman in ways that are not of the religious nature. Bullet point. While other brands were working their asses off, had stellar customer service and great bags, but no Scientology celebrity connections, Hayden Hartnett is a prime example. Next bullet point. I especially don't like how Scientology was such an integral part of her road to fame. Road to fame, you guys, because that is what Scientology is brokering for its members inside of their hotels and commercial buildings. Now, not everyone is going to get a free card to go get famous. That's not going to happen to just anyone, just like in any pyramid scheme, right? Like, not everyone is going to go to the very top of the pyramid scheme and get all the benefits of working in a pyramid scheme. The pyramid scheme has just like a little certain triangle up here that is only fit for certain people under certain circumstances, for certain crisis management influence situationships. So it depends what Scientology is trying to do, because usually when they go so out of their way to help someone like this, like Rebecca, Scientology is not out there helping every person. Like I said, to get to that level, you have to have done something. You have to have a reason that Scientology really wants to put you there. And you have to be safe pointed beyond, meaning that they have to be so sure that Rebecca's not going to just, turn her back on them, that it's going to be worth their investment propping her up, that she's going to become an asset to Scientology. That's what Rebecca has to show. before she gets tapped to be part of the so-called president's office, where she was getting hooked up with all manner of people, all manner of celebrities, Jenna Hoffman, blah, 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 etc., to get her stuff out there. Bullet point, I especially don't like how Scientology was such an integral part of her road to fame, or whatever you want to call it. Yet when directly questioned about Scientology, she is nebulous and plays cool, casual, the flippant card. And this is what we're seeing at the very beginning of all of these housewife questions that are swirling her, you guys. Like, it's always the same cool, flippant attitude when she gets questioned about Scientology. And imagine that not very good questions are being sent her way. Imagine that people are just the fact of bringing up the word puts her in a full-blown flippant mode. Imagine if people were actually asking her about the kids. Team Elvis, you never heard of her before? Does Priscilla have a bag? No, I don't think Rebecca has done any type of bag for Priscilla. Believe you or not, like, but they do know of each other because they're both part of the President Office network of Scientology celebrities. So definitely. Oops. My Sorry guys, had a technical difficulty, but we're back. Um Jamie, her husband, is a director that there's that web again named Gavin Valor. Yeah, you're answering your own question. Yeah, he's a director and she's a so-called New York socialite, propped up by Scientology handlers at the president's office, helped in her business. What kind of religion really helps you with a business? And not just any type of help, actual financial advice, financial connections, financial hookups, all manner of ways in which they can prop up artificially whoever it is that they really need to be, you know, like this Reddit user is saying here, getting it all out there for the fame or the notoriety. Um, Bullet point. I find it grotesque that she now has apparently published a book on how to be successful. LMFAO. And it's claiming that it was hard work, perseverance, and intestinal fortitude that got her where she's at. Now, look, you guys, we're not going to lie. Scientology people are very industrious. So, yes, hard work to get those business cards that helped her prop up her little business of bags that comes with a ton of baggage. That's what it says, intestinal. I know. That was a pretty specific word to use. Intestinal fortitude. Kid you not, you guys. Allegedly, she said it was her intestinal fortitude. I mean, again, you guys, they put you through a lot in that Scientology hotel. They really do put you through a lot. And I did want to answer this question, Team Elvis. Do Scientologists live at this hotel? They do. They pay to live there. Some of them live there for months and months. At the Fort Harrison, like we know, Lisa was dumped by Priscilla at the Manor Hotel. So Scientology has hotels in California, in Florida, and in all the places that they really want to keep their members there for an extended amount of time. So the biggest things are really happening at these hotels, which Rebecca Minkoff is a paid member to the Scientology hotels. Bullet point. Essentially, she plays whatever card benefits her at the most at the moment. The homeless card is a bit too wild for my taste, though, and it is absolutely categorically untrue. So, yeah. I mean, again, you guys, she set out to be used as a Scientology PR pawn so that people go, oh, look at Rebecca. She's so successful. Oh my God, maybe if I start doing Scientology, I can build myself $100 million company just like Rebecca. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. But don't worry about it. There's not many Rebeccas. Like I said, many are called, few are chosen. That's what L. Ron Hubbard said was the motto of Scientology. So they're sifting and grabbing people and psychologically categorizing who is susceptible, who would bite, who would do the bidding that we want done. So Rebecca really had to qualify for her exact place where she sat, where she finds herself today. It didn't happen because, oh, she's just so lucky, such an American lucky girl that got to be in this incredible $100 million plus industry that she just had to work real hard. Quote, intestinal fortitude is what will get you there, allegedly. So, and just to tie up that point about she's not been homeless, you guys. Rebecca comes from a very rich, well off family. Her dad was an actual doctor, which is what's shocking. There's not that many actual PhDs inside Scientology, you guys, because in Scientology, they don't need anyone to get a PhD because in 2-week course of a hotel pitched by a convicted felon, their beloved Grandmaster Daddy, L. Ron Hubbard, pretty much eliminates the fact that anyone would ever have to get a PhD. L. Ron Hubbard says that universities are stupid, that colleges are stupid, that if the world was doing the courses that were pitched by this convicted felon, then the world would be, doing so well and doing so wonderful. So why go to a university when you can go take a 2-week course inside of a hotel and act as if you do have a PhD? Because inside of the hotel, they act like they do. They really act like their certificates are, you have no idea how much validity, how much size they have. They give you like gigantic certificates that you can complete with a 2-week course. And just to finish your question here, are those hotels open to the general public? If so, would we know if we check into a Scientology hotel? I assume they exist in multiple countries. Yes, you wouldn't ever get accepted to go into a Scientology hotel you're highly qualified to get there. Think more like a Soho House membership program where every single person has to be a paid member. Every single person has to be extremely vetted. Every single person someone has to vouch for and say, oh yeah, these people really, I do trust them. So it's not just like you could end up at a Scientology hotel and not know it. They have very specific hotels that they operate, and these exist, like I said, in California, in Florida, in Australia, in United Kingdom by the St. Hill organization, anywhere where they need you to stay there for a few weeks. They provide accommodations, and that's part of their business model as well. So here's another bullet point. Also, at one point, Rebecca Minkoff was all about my bags are made in America and are one of the highest quality, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, not really. They were made in America when she was a small time, and then she didn't have Chinese contacts. So Rebecca's not making her bags in America anymore. You guys are just cheaply made in China, allegedly. When big time hit, every Rebecca Minkoff bag went downhill through cheaper materials, overseas productions, and America suddenly wasn't in the conversation anymore. So, yeah. The conversation was one that she was having with herself, and she was lining her pockets. How convenient. It always seems to be when it comes to her. Then again, Scientologists have this way of being able to twist narratives around easily. So, yeah. The narratives couldn't be more twisted that, L. Ron Hubbard rhetoric that these Scientologists use to come across relatable. They're always being trained to be perceived relatable when they're out there in the real world. They want to come across as normal. They're not supposed to come across, say, any of the unhinged things that they do at the hotel. They're not supposed to show any signs of that. Any signs of how they actually speak to their kids when no one's watching, when the doors are closed. No one is supposed to see a shred of that. And yeah, Bravo, the so-called reality show that it is definitely not giving anyone any sight of that. Going back to the fact of how Rebecca is trying to mainstream herself, purport that she is so successful. Wouldn't you want to be like me? Wouldn't you want to go and sign up to go be inside of a Scientology hotel or commercial building? Because the receipts are in here. The Minkoff family has been in Scientology for over 3 decades or 30 years. Dr. Minkoff, her little daddy, is closely allied with chairman of the board, RTC, David Miscavige. And it is part of an ongoing campaign to get Scientology senator voted in. Oh, look at that. Look at that, you guys. Apparently, allegedly, Dr. Minkoff is being used to get some sort of Scientology senator voted in. Dr. Minkoff himself has been sued in federal court for malpractice, and it's involved with multiple DEATHs and alivings. The whole family and church is a cluster of next level, you know what. Nevertheless, no Minkoff in that family was on the brink of homelessness. Rebecca Minkoff grew up with several of her celebrity friends as well as celebrity cult members. So here they cite Daily Beast operation about how Scientology could get its own senator. So yeah, give it up to these people that are into the politics of it all. And let's see, even though, but so we did say we're doing a long, short, deep dive, you guys. So this is from this article. Oops. What is the Daily Beast asking me? Well, I'll tell you guys in a nutshell what it was because it's asking me to has a paywall on it all of a sudden. But David Minkoff was being used, and I remember this coming forward. If you guys want to know more about it, leave a comment in the chat, and we will actually get into the weeds of the political influence. As we know, as you guys also pointed out yesterday, Grant Cardone was at the latest Donald Trump rally, Scientologist, influencer of the millennia, Grant Cardone. So there's a lot of push and pull of using these so-called case studies of success. Oh, look at Grant Cardone, he's a billionaire. Oh, look at Rebecca Minkoff, she's got $100 million in a very successful company. Don't you want to be a Scientologist? Don't you want to be like them? But a lot of that is not being, ever really actually contextualized. I've listed all my reasons for disliking Rebecca Minkoff as a woman, as a person, as her brand. But for those who are wondering mostly about the Scientology aspect, which Rebecca Minkoff downplays the F out of that total twist of reality, here's some more links. Rebecca Minkoff Scientology coursework from 1991 to 2021. I mean, that's a lot of years, you guys. Remember, I told you Rebecca Minkoff was since 1991. She's been allegedly found to be doing the courses. And this is literally the time where I knew her. Let me show you guys what we're looking at right here, because this is outrageous. That is all just a simple Google click away. But here we have Rebecca Minkoff, Becky Minkoff. I mean, that's how we always knew her, you guys. She was always called, oh, there's Becky. So here's Becky in 1991 doing objectives. In 1991, doing the Harvard Life Orientation course. So for any of you who have no idea what the Harvard Life Orientation course is a very, very long course where you're really supposed to find your purpose in life, and where she would have been expected to write all her overts and her withholds about every single aspect of her life. And we're talking 1991. So I'm not good at the math here, but let's see. Let's really take a look at her age here, you guys. September of 10 years old. 10 years old. So that's when Rebecca got herself allegedly started in Scientology, according to the published service completion list, which shows her doing the objectives September 1st, 1991. And then this other course that is outrageous, that she was doing it at 10 years old, Harvard Life Orientation course. And then next year, She's already getting audits. ARC Straightwire, that's an audit. 1992, Method 1 work clearing. 1992. 1993, student hat. 1994, grade 0 expanded, you guys. So grade 0 expanded is the disgusting rundown supposedly to help you with communication, which she does talk about how Scientology's helped her so much to communicate. But let's see, how old was she then? In 1994 when she did this one about grade 0. 13. So on this exact grade 0 expanded, where you're really supposed to clear your communication, she would have had to do the process. If you were talking to a prostitute, what would you talk about? If you were talking to a prostitute about that, what would you say exactly? If you could talk to a arpist, what would you talk about? If you could talk to a rapist about that, what would you say exactly? If you could talk to a PDF file, what would you talk about? If you could talk to a PDF file about that, what would you say exactly? Those are the type of communication things that Scientology is wanting children to really, erode the boundary. As we've said so many times, you guys, this is all about eroding boundaries between adults and kids. That's why we are saying no more kids in Scientology. We don't give an F, Rebecca. If you were exposed to this as a child, then you should know better. Then you really should be doing the, self-awareness checks that you should really be doing on yourself to ensure that none of your own kids end up getting ensnared in all of these courses. Because look how much she's done, you guys. Special course in human evaluation in 1996. So by the time she was 15, Rebecca was really studying a lot about how to humanly evaluate people. Hubbard qualified Scientologist. Oh, look, here's an Scientology ethics specialist. So here's Rebecca being a specialist in ethics. Isn't that great, you guys? And it just goes on and on and on. Here she is doing the L rundowns. Here she's going clear. Here she's going to her solo parts. Here she's doing OT eligibility. And here she's doing OT1 in 2021. So she's on her way to find out who Xenu is. And she could not be more involved in doing a lot of very, very outrageous courses that were pitched by a convicted felon. Let's not forget that every single thing you see here was pitched by a convicted felon. And how sad that Rebecca was literally in 1991 as a 10-year-old or 11-year-old already being exposed to these disgusting courses, you guys. Again, because it is done on the Scientology, because the kids get groomed by their parents. In this case, the literal Dr. Minkoff and Sue Minkoff, her mom, that were all about grooming kids. And don't think that Dr. Minkoff was just only grooming Rebecca. Dr. Minkoff was grooming me. He was in the course room with my grandmother, Dr. Minkoff. So I did plenty of drills with Dr. Minkoff, as my grandmother was like, oh, why don't you help David? He really needs to complete a course. Go help him. And there I was at the time also, I believe 12, 13 maybe, being made to do drills with Dr. Minkoff about communication and all of the things that are so outrageously unbelievable in Scientology that they expose kids to. Rebecca Minkoff and her longtime homegirl, Jenna Jenna Elfman, were named in a Scientology-related kidnapping lawsuit. So Rebecca and Jenna Elfman were named in a kidnapping lawsuit. I mean, ex-Scientologist names Jenna Elfman and Rebecca Minkoff as arbiters in kidnapping lawsuit after failing to drag Tom Cruise into legal war. Ex-Scientology's Valerie Haney, the one that escaped out of a trunk of a car, you guys. So if you're not familiar with Valerie Haney, her story was covered on the Scientology and the Aftermath. She was also brought there as a child. She also knew Becky Minkoff from back in the day. She was there at our same time. Valerie, Becky, and I are just about the same age. So we know each other very well from that exact time. She isn't holding back nominating a shocking list of well-known Scientology members as arbiters ahead of her hearing because she failed to drag Tom Cruise and Elizabeth Moss into the legal mess. So this is back in the day when they were trying to get, so-called arbiters for a kidnapping lawsuit because these courts of the United States keep insisting that, including but not limited to, kids that were trafficked as underage, such as the case with Valerie Haney. She signed a contract when she was still a minor. She signed a contract to be working inside of the Scientology hotels, doing so-called being the executive chef. So doing food and catering to all of the Scientology executives. Don't forget that Scientology executives want to be treated as if they're royalty. So for as much as everybody goes, oh, but everybody gets treated so badly in there, not true. The Scientology executives were using underage slaves to make sure that they were serviced very, very well. So this is just so that everybody can know the hell Valerie is. She is somebody that was sent to arbitration by the courts of these United States. Scientology argued that Haney signed employment contracts that prevented her from suing religious organization in court. Therefore, if she wanted to pursue her allegations, she had to do it Scientology's way, through arbitration. The alleged victim was ordered by a judge to move forward with Scientology's arbitration process, or her lawsuit would be at risk of being thrown out. As Radar Online reported, she first called Scientology's Golden Boy Cruz and Handmaid's Tale actress Elizabeth Moss and Shelley Miscavige, the wife of David Miscavige, who has not been seen in public since 2007. So the judge ordered her to provide other arbiters. According to Ortega, Haney named a slew of high-power Scientologists besides Elfman and Minkoff, including John Cole, the church's attorney who the late Lisa Marie Presley claimed convinced her to file divorce against Michael Jackson. Sneaky Pete actor Giovanni Ribisi, the notorious spy in the church hallway Eric Geisler, the wealthiest member in the world Bob Duggan, and many more. Elfman has been a longtime Scientologist whose reputation includes keeping other actors in the religion in line, and Minkoff has allegedly been an active in Scientology front groups, reports Ortega. So that's where you can also find Becca and Jenna being dragged into so-called being arbiters of felonies reported in a lawsuit. Felonies that are being reported by a child who also grew up in Scientology, not like Rebecca, you guys. The difference between the Scientology people like Rebecca and Valerie Haney is Rebecca was never signing a billion-year contract to be in the Sea Org. Now, Rebecca did sign a staff contract as she went across state lines from Florida to the state of New York to be so-called celebrity center staff. Just like Priscilla. Rebecca wanted to be a celebrity. Rebecca wanted to be working at the celebrity center. Rebecca wanted to get connections, use the president's office to see how she could use that leverage to prop up her handbag. So, but very, very different from being part of the billion-year scam, because here Rebecca is in New York, living it up, using her dad to front her Soho apartment, networking with anyone that had a pulse, and seeing how, really achieve that goal. So and here is reporting another one of the bullet points that the head honcho, David Miscavige, who was served 27 times with human trafficking lawsuit, but is evading the suit by concealing his whereabouts. Rebecca Minkoff was mentioned somewhere in the shit show story at one point. Mind you, this is only a few months ago. I mean, her own brother, you guys, was signed up to the billion-year scam. So Rebecca Minkoff is very aware of what type of life these people are having for themselves. And, they're not having any type of life like she's having. They're not type of, $100 million millionaires being socialites. But again, that comes with a lot of other strings attached, ones that Rebecca Minkoff is very, very aware of. And for some reason or another is, just laughing it up, pretending that she's just like any old housewife, that there's nothing wrong with Scientology, that it's something that no one should be thinking about, because why think about it when you don't have to think about it? And, it's just odd. It's just bizarre that these people are using these methods to launder their image. And then you have producers like Literal Cohen, who laughs it up and pretends that there's nothing here to see. And why would anyone have any problem with the backlash that this girl is literally up to her neck and ears in Scientology involvement of the highest order? So it's not just nothing. It's not like she just went and did one course and then never mind. So exactly. It's more or less human trafficking. I mean, this is another kid that grew up in Scientology that Rebecca would know. And yeah, that's what we are asserting for ourselves. We were trafficked, not Rebecca. Rebecca never gave up her passport. Rebecca was never in the Sea Org. I mean, we would allege on her behalf that she was trafficked across state lines to New York to go be part of the celebrity center, be on staff, but apparently, oh, every time I do quotes, you guys, my video gets stuck. So apologies for that. Um, that's what we have for you guys today in terms of Rebecca. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, but we wanted to just again start contextualizing how easy it is to find what is going on and how it doesn't make sense. What's actually going on does not make sense because it just doesn't. And Rebecca needs to be questioned as to her knowledge and involvement in funding the hotels where she knows other kids are being exposed to disgusting grooming courses, audits, and ethics handlings, all pitched by a convicted felon that should not have unfettered access to underage kids. Is literally that simple. If you want to stay at the hotel, Rebecca, if you say that it's amazing and it really is working out for you, that would be one thing. But you are promoting it to other moms. You are just like Priscilla, showing them that you want to be an opinion leader for them and putting yourself as an entrepreneur. And I'm a mompreneur, or whatever you call that word. But what are you funding with your money? That's the main question. What is your money funding? Where is it going? How much of it have you given the hotel? How many kids are there when you go get serviced? As we know from your completions, you've been there as of, not so many years back. 2021, they have you completing OT levels. So this means that you keep giving and giving and giving a lot of money. And if there were no kids involved and this was an adult only situation, Rebecca, then no one would have a single shred of a question for you. At least I wouldn't. But you would know how many kids are literally being exposed to this. For crying out loud, you got your own kids to worry about. And yeah, we hope they're not being exposed to the scourge of the works of convicted felon L. Ron Hubbard, Rebecca. And you should be also hoping for that. And, hopefully you aren't exposing them. Hopefully you're not. Hopefully you're not teaching them all the disgusting grooming language that was taught to you when you were a child. Hopefully you are not doing that to your own kids, because they might look like they're living it up with a multimillionaire mom. But then if you're exposing them to Scientology, Rebecca, Lord have mercy on your soul. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all really soon. Bye-bye.